It's time to step into the Coming Out Lounge, a cool, safe space to be true to your sexual self. With your host, Rick Clemens. Rick has helped hundreds of people come out of the closet, and now each week he's bringing you cool insights for loving and accepting yourself, boosting your self-confidence, and living a guilt-free, purpose-filled life on the other side of the closet doors. Cuddle up with yourself and get ready for heartwarming coming out stories, ideas for living authentically, and tips for being fully self-expressed. Now here's your host, Coming Out Coach Rick.
Hey, closet dwellers and closet busters. It's me, Rick Clemens, the Coming Out Coach, and we are back with another episode of the Coming Out Lounge. And you know what? You can just go to hell. Yep, just go to hell because of who you are and how you're living. Or you can live your truth like my guest is going to talk about. Because you see, here's the thing. Let's be honest. A majority of us in the LGBTQ world, or even in the world at large, have been told we're going to hell for various different things in our life. But to that I say, oh yeah, well, those of you who are judging or casting the stones, maybe you'll be joining us because most of them are very, very, very wrong. Now, even though much of the biblically based stuff around being LGBTQ has this Christian ideology that says, you know, every Saturday, Sunday, there's going to be stuff flying off the pulpits depending on what your faith are about just all these flaws that you have. But guess what? Most of us who are LGBTQ walk out of those pulpit times feeling, really? That's who I am? No, you're not. You got to step into it and realize that if you don't be who you are, that's when you're being the hypocrite and the imposter. So today we're going to bring someone in who's going to help me talk about those hypocritical imposter moves. So I want you to know you better buckle up and get ready because this woman, she is irreverent. Even though she's irreverent, she's audacious, she's loving, she's compassionate. And I can tell you she's going to take us to the party, the pulpit, to the wake, and back to the party with everything that she does. I want to welcome my friend, Reverend Freda Lanoix. Welcome to the show, girlfriend. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm so excited about being here.
Well, me too. Because I know we're going to you bet, and we're just going to go wherever we go. But let's talk about, you know, for those who are just tuning in, they're just seeing the show page and everything. You're just one of these people who you've come to your truth. And you kind of did say, oh, well, the hell with it. I'm going to live my truth. So let's kind of step back, however far back in time you want to talk about what it was that finally brought you to that place where you just said, the hell with it, I'm going to start living my truth.
You know, being suicidal.
Oh.
You know, being at a place where I felt that if I could not live my truth,
yep,
that I just did not want to live anymore. So finding myself in that very uncomfortable, difficult situation, you know, going up against what I was taught. You know, I came from a very religious background, Pentecostal. My mother was the national evangelist of the Pentecostal church. So, you know, hell and condemnation, that was their foundation. And I was married, you know, and I had two beautiful children. And so from the outside, it sort of looked like almost the Leave It to Beaver, perfect little family, you know. I mean, I had a washer and dryer, Rick, that meant I had made it, you know.
And so I'm going to share with everybody that just before we went on the air, we were just having an appliance conversation too that says when you get the expensive refrigerators, you've also made it, but then you get hit with all these repairs. So we have both made it because we have these high-end appliances. But anyway, back to the story. I couldn't resist because it was like how funny that we were just having that conversation.
And so in the midst of that, you know, my sexuality showed up. You know, it had always been there. You know, tried to bury it, ignore it. You know, I definitely thought, if I become, more religious, if I become, a married woman, just all of those things, that society says and that religion says that you should do to make you be okay, be somebody, be pleasing in the eyesight of God. Yep. And, we all want to be pleasing in the eyesight of God. And the price that I was paying for that was, I was definitely troubled. And I didn't want to bring shame upon my family and my children. I didn't want to break their hearts. And so I thought, to die would be an out. I could save face for my family, and hopefully they could recover from that. But to me, that was better than really coming out and standing on my truth and dealing with my sexuality. Mm-hmm. And so when I found myself in Kaiser, coming out of being pumped, and my husband standing there saying to me, what could be that bad that you would want to leave, me and the children? And so it was really at that moment, at that crossroads, that I had to be brave.
Yes.
And it didn't mean that I wasn't scared. I felt my fear, but I needed to be brave. I needed to save myself. I needed to speak up for myself. And so it was at that moment that I kind of shared with him my struggle, my inner struggle with my sexuality.
Yeah.
So that was the beginning of my journey of becoming very authentic. And there were many prices that I paid along the way. It was not a smooth journey, but it was definitely a journey that was worth it, because I was worth the fight, the struggle, the effort to be free and to be who I am.
I'm glad you said that, because there's a couple of things you just said that I think are really important in this journey, regardless of where people are coming out of, if they're coming out of their sexuality or leaving a bad relationship or whatever it may be. This being brave, and I use the word being bold, both of those doesn't mean it's going to be easy. And doesn't mean you're going to, once you've made that say, okay, I know I got to be brave and I'm going to be bold and go make this move. That doesn't suddenly flip a switch and now here we go. It becomes an easy task. You're still going to be faced with it, but it gives you the energy to step forward into it. I think that's the thing, is when you can say, I'm going to put my brave face on. I'm going to, put my bold big boy girl panties on, whatever that is, and do this.
Yes.
Then you've elevated yourself to a new space. Until you step into that, it's all going to look really, really, truly scary. I'm glad that's how you described it, because I think this is the thing that most people need to latch onto, is you're going to have to find that brave space to move you forward.
Yes, absolutely. I can remember, facing just, different challenges along the way. And it's so funny because in the beginning, every time something would happen, I would blame it on my sexuality. Like, if somebody ran into the back of my car, I'd be like, oh my God, if I wasn't gay.
Right.
This would not have happened because,
Right.
That was my environment and this was my upbringing that, when you're not pleasing in the eyesight of God, then things are going to happen to you. And you bring that into your environment, into your existence. And so, for a minute there, I blamed, everything that happened on my sexuality, And so just, facing those challenges and not in the beginning having a support system, just kind of like, I just made my mind up that if I'm going to go to hell, I want to go first class because everything I do, I want to do the best.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so if going to hell is the price I'm going to pay, I refuse to live in hell and go to hell. So I'm going to live and then I'll go to hell later. So that's kind of, part of my reasoning until I began to, get a better understanding of how the universe works and how this thing called God, love, really does work, and that we are perfect and that we are created to be exactly who we are. Before I tapped into that insight, I just made my mind up. I just got a first class ticket to hell.
Yeah. Well, and you just said something so just freaking amazing, because we are perfectly who we are. And in the next second, we are still perfectly who we are. And in the next 5 minutes, we're still perfectly who we are. And in the next 5 years, we're still... I think when people can finally wrap their head around that everything we are. So I know you and I are both, we're both carrying our lovely little muffin tops, the whole 12-pack of them around us, right? And I see that as my way of being perfectly who I am right now. But I also know, because you've just embarked on, some new healthy living lifestyle stuff, I'm in the midst of it myself, That's who I'm being, perfectly who I am now. So I could, a month from now or 6 weeks from now or 2 months from now, as you could, we could be 20 pounds lighter than where we are right now. And that's perfectly who we will be then. And if people could just embrace that concept that what you are in each and every moment is perfectly who you are.
Who you are. Because, you get the opportunity, it's all about what serves your highest good, and so even embarking upon this journey of becoming healthy, it doesn't serve my highest good anymore to carry all of this weight around. So It's not that it's good or bad, it's just it doesn't serve me anymore. And when something begins to hold you hostage or keep you from having the desires of your heart or creating your reality or living your life to its fullest, then you know that doesn't serve you anymore. Right. And you get this opportunity without judgment, not a judgment call, but you get this opportunity to change your mind, to do something different. And so for me, being healthy, it's important because being unhealthy doesn't serve my highest good anymore. And I want to feel good. I'll be 62 in July, and I just want to be the best 62 that I can be. And I know that there's a part that I have to play in that. Yes. And so I just want to play my part and then allow the universe to support me, have a support system, put things in place that will uplift me, encourage me, and keep me, walking toward that journey. But each step is good. Like when you're on a journey, it's not about the destination, but it's about embracing and enjoying the journey. And so I want to enjoy this part of the journey. What it speaks to me that I am, and what I love is it's speaking to me that I'm choosing myself. I'm choosing myself over my habits. I'm choosing myself over, things that I might desire. I love that. I feel like I'm being brave. I feel like I'm being strong. I'm just giving myself this beautiful message that I'm just so worth whatever it takes in order for me to have a healthier life. And so I'm enjoying that journey of being brave. I'm enjoying that journey of every time I have willpower to say, I'm not going to eat that, or I'm not going to do that, or I'm going to get up and go walking. Right. That's a message that I'm giving to myself, that nothing else can give you that, but only when you have the courage and you're brave enough to really begin to make those choices that they're for your highest good. And they might not even feel good to you, but they're for your highest good. And so the message, the journey that I'm on, oh my God, and then that, of course, it, rolls over into other areas of your life. And so I'm just really feeling good about myself. And that's what's important in our lives.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I do, because a lot of clients, and I know you've worked with a lot of people too, they come to this work, whatever it may be, whether they're venturing into their spirituality, which we're going to talk about what you do in that arena, or whether it's their coming out or their work or whatever it may be. And they come into it with a lot of judgments around good or bad. And one of the first things I like to do is say, so let's just imagine we could take away good and bad, and let's change the judgment from that to asking yourself the question, how is this in my best interest? How is what I'm doing right now in my best interest? How is what I'm eating right now in my best interest? And it's so fascinating to watch a client start to embrace that new language of, how is this in my best interest? Because you take away the judgment of the good, bad, the harsh good or bad. And when you invite the, how can this be in my best interest and how is this serving my higher purpose, you actually get to some really powerful conversations with oneself that help you move forward into a space of a whole lot more self-love, self-care, and going, yes, this is in my best interest.
Absolutely. I concur with you 100%. It's about being accountable, and having the courage to sincerely be honest with yourself. A lot of times, it's kind of difficult for us to be honest with ourselves simply because of the judgment, because, we do want to call something bad. it's so funny that when we first started having this conversation and you were talking about Go to Hell, did you know that I had written a book called Go to Hell?
Yes, I did. And that's why I brought it up.
Okay, because I was like, right, because when you were saying, I was like, oh my God. Because when we call something bad, then we don't want to visit it because we don't want to call ourselves bad. But if you, like you said, if you take the judgment off of it and you say, does this work for me? You know, is this for my highest good? Then you're open to visit it again because your honesty, your truth, what it is that you need your assistance is usually in that space of choices that you've made that you need to examine and you need to look at and you need to be honest with and you need to look at, you know, the surrounding circumstances of this is where I was, this is what I was feeling at that particular time. But let me get from that what the nugget, the honesty and the truth from it. You know, I often say, you know, I love that I know my capability. You know, I know my capability, not in all things, but I know what I'm capable of doing. And the beauty of that and how that gives me so much strength and insight is that it allows me to set boundaries for myself.
Yes.
And when I set boundaries for myself, then I know that there's some things that I can handle and then there's some things that I cannot handle. A perfect example, I love cake, Rick. I love cake. And I love yellow cake with chocolate icing. It's like my favorite. And let me tell you, I cannot put that cake in my house. Okay?
I get it.
I know, you understand? I will sleepwalk. I will get up in the middle of the night and slice that cake and then get up the next day and say, oh, my God, who did that?
Yes, who did that? Who is that person in my house? Those little monsters
Exactly.
that Yep.
The cake monster.
You know, you're saying this as you're like wiping your hand across your brow going, and how did that chocolate frosting get on my forehead too, you know?
Wait, are these crumbs in my bed?
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Yes.
So,
I mean, that was a dream that really did come to life. So that's so funny.
Yes. And because I know that, then I don't put things in my life that I have to even, send myself through that mental or emotional temptation. I don't put it in the house because I know, you know what? I'm not there yet. I'm not there where I can have that and be okay with it. So guess what? When I'm in the supermarket, I'm not going to that direction. So knowing your capability, it really does come with when you have the courage to visit and be totally honest with yourself. And that can be sometimes a challenge for each of us to be that honest.
Absolutely. But I think that challenge to coming to being that honest is, starting with giving yourself permission to say, okay, I'm going to be really honest with myself. And it's so hard to give ourselves permission for some of the stuff that actually is in our best interest, the stuff that's going to move us forward. Whether it's facing our fears or giving ourselves permission to be curious about, okay, if I really were to come out of the closet, to give ourselves permission to even think about that, or to give ourselves permission to say, I need to leave this relationship and think through those, or give ourselves permission to say, I'm not going to bring a beautiful yellow cake with chocolate frosting into my house, to explore what that might feel like. We have to start with giving ourselves permission to explore the stuff that's taboo, uncomfortable, that makes us, have to go look deeper within ourselves. And once we give ourselves that permission, then we can start to find the real answers. That's my belief.
Exactly. Because most of us are driven.
Yes.
But we got to know what's driving us. And sometimes the thing that is driving you could be something that happened, most of the times, it's something that happened in our lives years ago, and we kind of, said, I will never allow that to happen again, and so we take off in life, and we are driven by that statement, and we don't recognize how that statement is so powerful in our psyche, and how that statement continues to show up in our lives in so many different ways, and so it does take courage to stop and have those conversations with yourself and give yourself permission to be honest. Let me be honest. You know, like I tell people, you know, I had an affair. I had an affair when I was, you know, I was like the COO of a nonprofit agency. I was riding high, you know, I had all these titles. And right in the midst of all that, I had an affair. And I had that affair because of not knowing my capability, because somehow I really thought I would never, like, no way would I ever have an affair. Oh, no, I would never cheat on my mate. You know, I was just like, you know, I'm a good person. I give, I serve, you know, I'm all about the people, and I had an affair. What I got from that experience, once I took judgment off of it, I was able to look at it, and the things that I got from it was priceless. I got from it, number one, never stay in a relationship that you're starving, you know, because I was in a relationship and I was starving, but I was afraid to leave the relationship. And so I thought I could stay in the relationship emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically starving and be okay, because this picture I had painted on the outside, that I got it all together, you know, and so I felt somehow, so when I had the affair, it hit me from a place that I wasn't prepared, like I didn't even know. So when I was able to look at it, what I recognized was, too, you can't build a healthy love relationship off of hurting people. How do you think that you could hurt others and somehow you're going to have this wonderful relationship because you deserve this? Doesn't matter how it started. So I learned that. I also learned that I am in control of my emotions. I'm not helpless and hopeless when it comes to my emotions. I feel that way because I haven't nurtured myself, because I haven't gotten with myself. And so what I got from that experience was priceless. And so now I know I'm capable of having an affair. Why do I know that? Because I did it. But I can set boundaries for myself, and I don't allow myself to be emotionally starved. I don't allow myself to cross boundaries and say, well, I can handle it, and then find out that I can't handle it. So that's the jewels. That's the beauty of what you get when you can be totally honest with yourself and know who you are and know your capability. So today, that became my greatest insight. It became a blessing in my life.
Well, I think those blessings come because, and this kind of moves into something else you've created beyond the book, Go to Hell, is those are when we have those wake the hell up moments. It's like, okay, I finally see this. I now am alive. I'm awake because I know what I'm capable of. And I think sometimes when we're going through these crises or these chaos points in life, we have to be able to realize I'm here. You know, you said you went into this affair and then suddenly you realize, okay, I'm capable of it. But a lot of times when we're in this chaos, it's because we're looking ahead or we're looking so far behind and we're not letting ourselves be right here in this moment, right now. And whether there is something missing, and, you know, trust me, I'm a serial cheater. I know it, and I'm capable of it. And so I know what it's like to go, okay, what's missing? And then suddenly that what's missing was there wasn't really anything missing other than I didn't love myself enough. And then I started to overlay that onto, well, this is the only way I can love myself is to go have these affairs. Now, granted, and I'm not justifying it, but I'm giving some, you know, I'm putting some framework around this. That's when I was married to my wife, and I knew who I was, but I couldn't get quite there because I was so far out in the future thinking about what was going to happen if I finally did come out. And I had the other foot back in the past of what everybody had told me about what I would be if I was an out gay man, instead of grabbing both of those reins by the hand and pulling those reins right back into the center and going, and who is Rick right now? Who is Rick being now? If he would quit this cheating, if he would get serious, if he would get solid in himself, who would Rick be? And every time I would pull that back to center, I would start to feel calm. I would start to feel, you know, very focused on, okay, I know who I am. Now, when I know who I am is when I can make clearer decisions. And those are those wake-up moments right there. And they're biggies. And they're not easy to go through.
Yes, they are.
I mean, even when you're centered and you're like, okay, I'm aligning with my values, I'm aligning with my purpose, I'm aligning with who I know I am. I don't want anybody listening to this to think, oh, well, then that makes it easy. Yes, it makes it easier. No. But that doesn't mean by any stretch of the imagination that it's going to be a cakewalk towards the yellow cake with the chocolate frosting. It isn't going to be that way.
Exactly.
But tell us about how you stepped into this beautiful place of, becoming Reverend Freda and doing the work you do now. That was obviously probably part of this journey, I would assume.
Absolutely. It was. It really was. I discovered that, the power of, when I recognized that religion no longer was for my highest good, it was not serving me, and learning how to be okay with, at one time it worked, it's just not working for me at this stage in my life. Because I think one of the most difficult things for us is when something no longer works, because we can get uncomfortable or comfortable in an uncomfortable situation, and when you come to a place, whether it's religion or like you said, whether it's a relationship, when you've done everything that you possibly could do and you continue to have the same outcome or the same feelings, and you no longer want to continue to have those experiences, when you get right there, then it's time for you then to be open. And so I remember I began the journey of searching for something more or something else. So I didn't even really have a name for it, but I just knew that what it was that I needed in my life, I did not have it in my life. Mm-hmm. And so I started, just kind of studying and finding workshops and, learning about this thing called spirituality that wasn't saturated in religion, and learning about the power of spirituality or the principles. Because what I discovered is that your principles, they're always working, whether you are conscious of them or not. And the majority of the time we're not conscious, but it doesn't stop them from working in your life. And then taking that step to accept full accountability of my life. Like, stop playing the blame game. Because, I played that game and I played it well. Mm-hmm. I blame my mom. We never really had, a great relationship. And, and now that I look back on it, I can see, her brokenness or where she was, and that she really was doing her best, because we're all doing our best at all times.
Yes.
And so when I began to take accountability and stop playing the blame game, I remember reading this book called Radical Forgiveness, mm-hmm. which meant that at the end of the day, there's nothing to forgive, that, even the parents that we've chosen, we've chosen those parents for a reason, And so when I began to accept full accountability of my life and where I was and what I had created, that's where I began to kind of tap into a power that was very frightening at first, because, we're not used to recognizing we got this power. We could really create a new reality for ourselves. I was so used to being helpless and hopeless, mm-hmm. 3-strike law. I was black, strike 1. Yeah. I was a female, strike 2, and I was a lesbian, strike 3, sister.
Oh my God, you're
out.
You're a lesbian? I didn't know you were a lesbian. What the hell? Girl, I don't know. I wish I'd known that before. I'm gonna have to talk to my assistant, because you see, my assistant, she's a big black sister too, and she's supposed to tell me these things. So.
And so having to embrace all of that, because that's where my power lies. Can you believe that?
Yes.
The thing that is so powerful about us is the thing that we reject.
Yes.
Oh my God. And so embracing, my color of my skin, okay, becoming very proud of who I was as being black, my blackness, and then beginning to say, oh my God, as a woman, I'm a healer, I'm a visionary, I'm nurturer. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, I'm soft and I'm strong, all wrapped up in one.
Yep.
I began to embrace that and be proud of being a woman. And then my sexuality, loving being a lesbian, loving it. I love it so much until I said to the universe, when I come back again, I want to be a lesbian all over again.
Yes.
I just want to know a little bit sooner.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's where you and I have something in common. I want to come back and be a lesbian too. So there you go.
Okay. And the thing that I love about it, Rick, is that, because I deal with, a lot of gay, lesbian, bisexual, queer, trans people.
Yes.
But, and it's one thing that you accept your sexuality. That's one thing. That's stage one.
Yes.
But it's when you celebrate it. That's when you have total acceptance of who you are. Total. And the beauty of that, when you celebrate your sexuality, you allow other people to celebrate your sexuality. Short story, my daughter's a professor, and she's heterosexual, married, she's got a little boy, life is good, and all that. And so she is over the gay and lesbian club on her college campus. And she has actually had her mother, come out and speak. Mm-hmm. And she said the reason why she does that is because my mother celebrated her sexuality, which allowed me to celebrate my mother totally of all of who she is. And I just want you guys to be able to hear from her. Now, I can't even be more prouder than that. Mm-hmm. When your children, we teach people how to treat us.
Yes.
By how we treat ourselves. And let me tell you, that internal homophobia, that to me is one of the most difficult things, is that when people realize they're gay, but they don't have the courage to accept that they're gay, or they act as if they've accepted their sexuality, but clearly by the choices that they continue to make for their lives that are not necessarily choices for their highest good, you can tell that they are like punishing themselves for being gay. And to me, that really breaks my heart when I see that happen, because they feel trapped.
Yeah, and it breaks my heart anytime anybody is punishing themselves for being themselves.
Who they are.
Yeah. And I know there's a lot of stuff, because we all come to the table, we bring forward whatever our parents brought to us, we bring it forward. You and I are passing that on to our kids. They're passing it on to their kids.
Yes.
We get this piece. But when you start to accept that, you have the right, the choice, the power to celebrate yourself. It changes the entire thing. In fact, I know part of how you've chosen to do this are the two things we haven't really touched on. And before we wrap things up, I want to make sure we touch on, your work doing Love at Work and what you're doing at Inspire with SheSpot. And those two things are just... Oh, the SheSpot, it's beautiful. She won't. So listeners, she will not let Rick come because it's just for the girls. But, one of these times I'm just going to finally have to succumb to my inner diva and dress her up and get her out there in her heels and show up at the SheSpot and go, girl, I'm here. I'm here and I'm queer. Yes. So, but give us everybody listening, and if you're in the LA area, we're going to have everything posted where you can connect with Alfreda and really see all this stuff. But the SheSpot is such a beautiful thing. So, tell everybody about what that is.
Yes. It's the SheSpot, and it stands for Sharing Her Experiences. And it's something that was given to me through the universe. And it's about women speaking up for themselves and for those that are around. It's a strong force of coming together and changing and embracing and sharing all this information as women that we have to empower each other and to support each other. I am so freaking excited. It happens once a month, every third Saturday from 7 to 9 at Inspire Community Center, which is in West Hollywood. And we have different speakers. We've had some dynamic speakers come in. Oh, I mentioned earlier that my daughter is a professor. She actually did What is Sex? What is sex? She did the keynote speaker for us last month, What is Sex? And let me tell you, it was really like awesome. And as a mother, I'm learning about sex education for my daughter. Now, that's a good one.
That is. You've reached a certain stage when you finally can admit, okay, my kid just taught me something. Now you're learning.
Exactly. And so this month we have a lady. She is the Chief Executive Officer for MediHealth Technologies, and she's doing lesbian, gay, bi, trans, queer health and longevity. So we're really excited about having her because in our community, a lot of times, especially transgenders, she's going to be able to speak about, how to advocate for yourself, what it is you should look for, doctors that are very inclusive and accepting. Also, lesbians, we have a high rate sometimes of breast cancer simply because a lot of times the butch lesbian or the boy lesbian doesn't necessarily plug into the health system. Yep. And by the time they do go, then, something is all. So we want to do preventive stuff, and just how to advocate for ourselves. Like I said, I'm 62, like what's going on with me? What should I expect? Because I find that myself and lots of my girlfriends, we're all having these procedures. Like every time you look up, somebody's saying, can you pray for me? Right. I'm going to go have a procedure. And so, we want to just really talk about our healthcare needs and what it is that we need to ask. What are the questions that we need to ask? If you don't know the right question, then you can't get the answers that you need for yourself. How to communicate, and just take proper care of ourselves for our age. So, and this is specifically for our sexual orientation and, gender identifying questions. Yeah. So I'm very, very, very excited about that.
And I love that you're doing it.
I love it. The month after that, we have Reverend G, and she does a workshop actually about money. So we're going to do, she and her money. Like, what is she doing with her money? And, some ideas or some insights. These are things that we, sometimes we don't talk about. Sometimes maybe we're embarrassed to talk about. So we want to put this stuff on the forefront so that we can look at it and just, be empowered to have some choices and some insight and some knowledge. And it's just so powerful. And then I'm going to do a workshop. I'm going to do the power of spirituality. And I'm going to do a workshop regarding the difference between spirituality and religion, and to recognize that it all works. It's just about what will work for you. So it's all about you. So those are the things that we are doing at the SheSpot.
And that's just what she does in her spare time when she's not getting her refrigerators repaired and everything else and taking care of grandkids and all that sort of stuff. So, but I'm so glad that you're doing all this stuff because it just shows the power of when you step into who you are and you really do celebrate yourself, regardless of how that looks. There's so many things that start to come to you. And I mean, literally come to you. It does, again, it doesn't diminish the work because there's work. There's work for showing up and doing this kind of stuff that Reverend Freda and I do. You gotta be in the mode. You gotta be ready to stand there and deliver and all that. But it comes from a place of, yes, this is what I know I'm supposed to be here for. This is why I'm on this earth. This is why I'm a vessel of humanity coming through the power of spirit and the higher power. All of that is what each and every one of us is here to do. And it really, really doesn't have a damn thing to do with your sexuality. Your sexuality just happens to be a part of who you are.
It has nothing to do, I tell people constantly that your soul is whole, and your soul is not caught up with the color of your skin. Your soul is not caught up with your sexuality, with your gender. Your soul is like, no, that's just the package that you came in. We came here to do and to connect and to serve, and we're not going to renege off of our purpose because of these labels that society has given us to say this is right and this is wrong. The soul is like, no, because there's no fulfillment. And Rick, I know you can attest to this. The fulfillment that you get when you are giving from within, when you're standing and allowing the Spirit to touch you and come from within to touch and inspire others. That's what it's all about.
That is what it's all about. Every step of the way. Every step of the way.
Every step of the way.
Well, girlfriend, I am so glad we did this today and that you have shared yourself so beautifully with the audience. And we will have everything up on the show page, how to connect to SheSpot, how to connect with Alfreda. We're not going to tell you what refrigerator repairman she uses because that's just a little too personal. And we may even put just a big old beautiful picture of a slice of yellow chocolate cake on her show page, but probably not because I don't want to tempt her. But
no, do it. That would be so beautiful.
But anyway, I love you dearly, girlfriend, and I'm so glad we got to share this and share you. And I definitely want to have you back again as we continue to just spread the word and spread the wings of love across the globe. And thank you for sharing yourself with us today.
You're so welcome. I love you, Rick. I'm telling you, I loved you from the moment you opened your mouth when I first met you. I knew our spirits were very familiar with each other.
Yeah.
And so I'm super proud of you and what you do. And anything I can do, just let me know.
I'll right back at you. And for those of you listening, we truly hope, the two of us hope, that this has been something that will help you step into who you are and to truly see yourself living your truest life and exercising the greatest care that you can to always be in a space of letting your love be at work and knowing whatever you are right now. You will always be. Doesn't mean there's not room for improvements, but every moment you are exactly who you are, perfect in every possible way you can be. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up for this week. And as I always say, never stop stepping out, stepping up, and stepping in to living your powerful truth, because when you do that, it's simple to be bold. I'm Rick Clemens, the host of the Coming Out Lounge, and we will catch you all in just another few days. Thanks for listening and have a blessed week. Hey, Closet Dwellers and Coming Out Lounge listeners. I wanted to ask you a question. If you could take stress out of your journey, be more content in who you are, and find ways to do some of the most difficult things that you need to do as you come through the closet doors, would you do it? I bet the answer is yes. Why do I know this? Because I have been getting requests from listeners and clients or prospective clients about finding ways to just address certain things in their coming out journey. Some people don't want to work for a long time, and I totally get that. And that's why I've designed some brand new coming out coaching one-on-one sessions. These are very focused, topic-specific sessions. For example, maybe you're looking at coming out midlife and how do you do it? Could be that you're already out, but you're not completely out and you want to talk about how do I do this and come out at work. Could be that you're having trouble even accepting yourself as a gay person. And might there be a possibility that you're really struggling with your sexuality and your religion? Depending on what you're looking for, I've designed 9 powerful, highly focused one-on-one laser coaching sessions that you can choose from. Each session goes for 90 minutes. We stay specifically focused on the topic at hand. And each of these sessions also includes a copy of my book, Frankly, My Dear, I'm Gay. So now that you've heard about this, how would you like to go check them out? Well, here's how you do this. Go to thecomingoutcoach.com. On that page, you can scroll down. You'll see stuff for the book and for some other offerings, but then you'll see one-on-one coaching sessions. Click on that button, and it will take you to a page that describes each of the 9 offerings that I have. If you happen to be listening to the podcast right now, just look over to the right-hand side of the show page, and you'll see one-on-one coaching sessions right there. Again, just click on that button and go check out these new offerings. So, what do you think? Isn't it about time that you stepped out, you stepped up, and you stepped into resolving whatever the biggest issue is in your coming out journey? I'm Rick Clemens, the Coming Out Coach, and I can't wait to work with you one-on-one.
You've just experienced the Coming Out Lounge. Go online to www.comingoutlounge.com to learn more, and tune in again next week for more stories and tips for being true to yourself.